keeping up with the motto, let learning be a joy and teaching a pleasure. Here we are with the remote teaching and learning process to bridge the gap. Happy learning, students. Mother, the one word that cannot be defined in a single phrase, the one word that embodies all the love a human being could possibly offer. Sometimes the strength of motherhood is greater than all the natural laws. Dear students, today we are going to know more about such unconditional love and sacrifice of a mother through the poem Night of the Scorpion, written by the famous poet Nazim Ezekiel. He was an Indian Jewish poet, actor, playwright, editor, and art critic. He was awarded the Sahitya Akademi Award in 1983, page number 100, chapter 3.1, Night of the Scorpion. The poem is about an incident that the poet has not forgotten in his life. It was a night when a scorpion bit his mother and all the superstitious villagers. They did all irrational things rather than helping the mother. The poem exposes the superstitions that is, we can say, dominated in the society, and also the motherhood of a lady who was worried about her children even in the worst condition. This poem has no rhyme scheme and it has 8 stanzas in total with different number of lines in each. So we start with the first stanza. The poet remembers the night when his mother was stung by a scorpion, and the scorpion is said to be entered the house because of 10 hours of steady rain. And after entering, it crawled and hid beneath a sack of rice. So the poet says that he remembered that night, because the poet's mother, suffered by the bite of a scorpion. Now, 10 hours of steady rain driven him, and him is the pronoun used for the scorpion, and that is how scorpion is personified. So, figure of speech will be personification. And because of the steady rain that was from the last 10 hours, the scorpion entered and crawled and hid beneath the sack of rice. The steady rain had driven him to do so. Now we can say here the poet was sympathetic towards the scorpion. That is, in the line, it is said that the scorpion entered because he was driven by steady rain. So this is how we can say that the poet was sympathetic towards the scorpion. Alliteration in the first stanza is in lines first and second. Now the second stanza. Parting with his poison, alliteration again, initial P sound is repeated. His poison, that is scorpion, again personified. Flash of diabolic tail in the dark room, and after parting with his poison. Now, how did it part with the poison? That is by biting the mother. This is how it parted with poison, with a flash of diabolic tail, and the tail, that is the part of the scorpion where the poison lies, and with the tail it, we can say, stung the mother, and with the flash of diabolic tail in the dark room, and where it was in the dark room. Now it is again, we can say that it shows the setup of the poem, that is a rural setup. It was night time, okay, and the dark room, it shows that the setup is rural. The background of the poem is rural. So another thing is in the line, second line, diabolic tale. Diabolic is something that has the qualities of uh, devil, and also we can say that the because the scorpion, that was, it was monstrous, and the tail was monstrous because the poison lies here. But then diabolic or monstrous or devil is the whole scorpion, but only tail is said to be diabolic, that is a part of the whole scorpion. So figure of speech will be synecdoche, as a part, that is tail, represents the whole, that is scorpion, and that is how synecdoche figure of speech. So after parting with his poison, with the flash of its devilish tail in the dark room, the scorpion is said to be risking the rain again. Risking the rain, risked the rain, that is illiteration, and he risked the rain, that is, the scorpion is personified. Now, what is the meant by risked the rain again? After biting the mother, okay, the scorpion went back to rain outside again, and it did not remain in the house. So, this is what we come to know. The third stanza. Again, the reference of the setup or the background of the poem. The peasants came like swarms of flies. Peasants, that is, the farmers there, the villagers there, and the rural setup it shows. And how did they come? They came like swarms of flies, that is, in group, in crowd. There is a direct comparison between peasants and flies. So, figure of speech will be simile. And they buzzed the name of God 100 times. And after they crowded there, they came, and that happens normally in villages, that is, people they crowd if something bad happens to someone. So this is why they crowded there. They came in a crowd, and they started taking name of God. They said to be buzzing the name of God. So buzz is the word is used for poetic effect, that is, the figure of speech will be onomatopoeia. And they started to take name of God, and poet says they buzzed or they took name of God 100 times. 100 times, that is an exaggeration, so hyperbole figure of speech will be there. And why did they start to take the name of God? To paralyze the evil one, to disable, to immobilize. Who? The evil one, that is the scorpion. So evil one is a metaphorical term. Okay, it symbolizes the scorpion. So figure of speech will be metaphor. So apart from all these poetic devices, imagery is also there, like the peasants coming like swarm of flies is one example of imagery, buzzing the name of God, another example, and the scorpion crawling beneath a sack of rice is also an example of imagery. Now, line 1 to 7, the events. The scorpion gets inside the house to escape the rain and stings the narrator's or the poet's mother. Students, pay attention to each and every detail and explanation, because most of the difficult question answers have been covered through the explanation and the written explanation as well. Now, the poem is written in free verse, as we did not come across rhyming word. There is no rhyming word rhyme scheme in this poem, and there are total 8 stanzas in the poem. 3 we have covered in this page. So we move ahead to the next stanza, that is the fourth stanza. Okay. With candles and with lanterns, throwing giant scorpion shadows on the mud baked walls, they searched for him. So how did the villagers or the peasants they search for him, and who is him? That is the scorpion personified. And what did they use to search for the scorpion? Candles and lanterns. What was the effect of the candles and lanterns? Okay, they threw giant scorpion shadows on the mud baked walls. Actually, it was not scorpion shadow. We, the readers, already know that the scorpion left the house, but the villagers, they did not know, and that is why they were searching for the scorpion using candles and lanterns, and they were, we can say, imagining their own shadows on the walls as the shadow of the scorpion. So another description here, the mud baked walls. Okay, apart from candles and lanterns, that confirms the rural background. Then they searched for him, he was not found. So the scorpion was not found. We all know that it was not present, it already had left. So repetition is in the first line where the word with is repeated, and in the fourth line, okay, it is antithesis figure of speech as the antonym searched and found are used in the same line. So alliteration in the fourth stanza is in the seventh line. So they clicked their tongues as they could not find the scorpion. Clicking their tongue, that is a kind of disapproval by making noise using the tongue. You better know, students, and you all do that as well. So they did it in disapproval as they could not find the scorpion. They clicked their tongues, and it is onomatopoeia figure of speech as the word conveys the sound of clicking the tongues. With every movement that the scorpion made, his poison moved in mother's blood, they said. Now the question is, why did they click their tongues in disapproval? Okay, as they thought as a kind of disbelief, and it again confirms the rural background. Okay, and what was the disbelief? That every movement, with every movement of its, the scorpion, uh, that it makes, the poison increases in the blood. The more the scorpion moves after biting a person, the more the poison spreads in the body, and that was the reason they clicked their tongue. Now we'll move to the next stanza, that is the fifth stanza. And the alliteration figure of speech is in the first and the third lines of the fifth stanza. May he sit still, they said, and they started. Okay, all of them with their own disbeliefs, a kind of calming or soothing the mother who was in pain. They started to give their own interpretation to the biting of the scorpion. Some of them said that his mother's sins, which she committed in her previous birth, have been forgiven. Okay, one kind of disbelief. The others assumed that she is going to die and said that the pain that she is suffering from will decrease the troubles in her next birth. So they talked about their previous birth and also her next birth kind of disbelief. Some others put forward that her good deeds will be balanced against her bad deeds because of the bite of the scorpion. So, this is another kind of disbelief, and all these disbeliefs show or confirm the rural setup. Now, when we talk about the figures of speech here, there is no any apart from alliteration. Now we'll move to the next stanza, the sixth stanza. Some of them said that the poison will purify and refresh her flesh of desire and spirit of ambition. That is, may the poison purify your flesh of desire and your spirit of ambition. Now, can you believe that it is one another kind of disbelief, and that confirms the rural background again. So they said that the poison of the scorpion will purify the flesh of the mother's desire and the spirit of her ambition. Is it possible for poison to purify something? It is not possible at all, and it is a contradictory term. That is, poison said to be or believed to be purifying. So the figure of speech will be oxymoron. Okay. Now, another figure of speech is flesh of desires. Desire is said to be having flesh, and ambition is said to be having spirit. So both have been personified. So personification, figure of speech. So this is what they said. And they said, and they sat around on the floor after saying all this, different people with their own set of disbelief. After having said everything, they sat around on the floor with the mother in the center. They all sat around her mother. And the last line of this stanza, the poet says, with the peace of understanding on each face. After they sat, there was a piece of understanding on each of their faces. We already know the mother was in pain, sitting in the center, people all around her. After having said, okay, or confirmed their own disbeliefs, they said to be sitting with a look of peace and understanding on their faces. And the figure of speech in this line is irony. Why irony? Because it is totally the opposite. We know that there was no any kind of understanding among the people, as they had their own set of disbelief, but still the poet says so for a better poetic effect to, that is kind of irony, and we readers we know that, and the figure of speech will be irony, as it is not same or exact as the poet says. Now imageries, the candles and the lanterns, that is the villagers coming with candles and lanterns and throwing giant scorpion shadows on the mud baked walls, clicking the tongues, all example of imageries. Now line 8 to 33, peasants are there to help. These are the events. Various methods and means of removing the stings are of the sting are tried. So this is all that happens in from line 8 to 33. Now we'll move to the next stanza, that is the seventh stanza, and it is a longer one. More candles, more lanterns, more neighbors, more insects, and the endless rain. What is unsaid or not written here? Okay, it is the pain, which was also, we can say, increasing or more or endless. Okay, now in these lines, we can see the words have been arranged in ascending order, that is, more candles, lanterns, neighbors, insects, rain. What is unsaid is pain of the mother. Figure of speech will be climax. In the stanza, seventh stanza, these lines are having alliteration, that is seventh, eighth, ninth, and 10th. And as everything increased along with the rain and pain, the mother twisted through and through, groaning on a mat. The mother of the poet, she twisted in pain, twisted completely, groaning, that is crying, a kind of sound of pain that conveys cry, okay, and pain. So she groaned on a mat. Now, groaning on a mat, it has an effect of sound that it conveys, the word conveys the sound of groaning, so the figure of speech will be onomatopoeia. My father, skeptic, rationalist. And now comes the father of the poet in the scene. He's said to be a skeptic and rationalist. So father is skeptic, skeptic that is questioner, the one who doubts and questions things. Rationalist means almost the same, a person who believes in reason and knowledge than opinion and belief. So we can say tautology, figure of speech here. So father, being a skeptic and rationalist, tried every curse and blessing. Again, a kind of irony we can see here, that the father is said to be a rationalist, but then he tried every curse and every blessing. Curse and blessing, opposite terms, so figure of speech will be antithesis. He tried every curse and blessing, and that is the irony, even after being a skeptic. Now, also, we can say that the father was concerned for his wife, that is the poet's mother, and that is why he tried everything. And what did he try? Powder, mixture, herb, and hybrid. Again, climax, figure of speech, ascending order, the words powder, mixture, herb, and hybrid. He even poured a little paraffin upon the bitten toe, the father, that as he was trying everything, and he put a match to it, put fire to that paraffin. And the poet, he watched the flame feeding on his mother. Okay, that is the flame burning the skin of his mother. That is what he saw. Now the mother was suffering so much, going through so much of pain, and in this line, flame feeding on my mother, there are two figures of speech, alliteration, yes, and also personification, as flame has been personified, said to be feeding, so personification as well. And also, the poet watched the holy man performing his rites. And what did the holy man do to tame the poison? That is, with an incantation, that is, the chanting of words that claim to have magical powers. So, this is what he did. The holy man started to chant, and everyone was doing, or we can say, their own remedies they were into, but nothing worked. And what worked that time? That was time. So after 20 hours, the poison lost its sting and the mother was relieved. After 20 hours, it took 20 hours for the mother to be relieved of the sting, the pain of the sting. And the last line is quite emotional and heart touching. It reflects the motherhood of a lady. The poet says that after recovering from the poison, his mother's words were, "Thank God the scorpion picked on me and spared my children." Even in such condition, his mother remained more concerned about the safety and the health of her children and not of her own self. So, this is the love and sacrifice, we can say, of mother. This is how mothers are. In the second line, the lady or the mother is said to be thanking God. We can say talking to God, and that is why the figure of speech will be apostrophe. So, this is how the poem ends, and the mother was relieved of her pain, and we realize love that is unconditional and sacrifice again unconditional of mother. Line 34 to 48, the father tried whatever he could. The mother suffered a lot. The sting was controlled after 20 hours, and the mother was thankful to God for she herself being bitten and not her children. Appreciation, points to be covered in paragraph format: title, the poet, rhyme scheme, figures of speech, central idea in minimum 4 sentences. So this is the appreciation of the poem Night of the Scorpion. This is how title is written, and in one paragraph the appreciation The words, the terms, or the points to be covered are highlighted. Students, please note down this appreciation in your notebook. Scorpion. Few facts about scorpion. They are not that dangerous to people. Scorpions are venomous. They eat just about anything. They glow in the dark. They can survive just about anything. They give birth to live young, and they are ancient organisms. Scorpion. Sacrifice is the value we learn through this poem. The good and the great are only separated by their willingness to sacrifice. Thank you, students.